Sometimes it's a dua that drives someone to you or drives you to someone, because realize it's not just your heart that has to click, it's someone else's heart that has to click. Now, subhanAllah, as you go through the different du'as that pertain to marriage, they're actually remarkably unspecific. What do I mean by that? Usually when people make dua for a spouse, they make dua for a very particular person and they are desperate for that person because love can drive you crazy. So you're sitting there and you're saying, oh Allah, give me this person. And you're putting on the blinders. So like the opposite of istikhara, where you're trying to make the best decision, you're putting on the blinders to all the potential pitfalls. Maybe you're not even listening to people that are pointing out to you some potential problems, or it all seems to be just right. But the point is that you're so desperate for that person. And when you look through the du'as that we learn from the Quran and the Sunnah, they're actually not specific. They're actually very general. And that's for our best interest. And that's part of that tawakkul in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so of the greatest du'as for marriage is the one that we actually learned from Musa alayhi salam, where Musa alayhi salam is in Madian. And Musa alayhi salam has just escaped Egypt after a horrible mistake that he committed. And he is completely alone, abandoned, a fugitive, and has no idea what his next step in life is. And he does this small good deed, and then he rests under a tree, and he makes this famous dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, قَالَ رَبِّ إِنِّي لِمَا أَنزَلْتَ إِلَيَّ مِنْ خَيْرٍ فَقِيرٌ. He said, "O my Lord, indeed I am, for any good that you bestow upon me, very needy. Ya Allah, I need you." And he doesn't say what he needs from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because the list is actually pretty long there. Safety, food. The last thing he's probably thinking about is a spouse, but that's actually the point. He just says, Ya Allah, I need any good that you're going to bestow upon me, and I am in a state of faqr. I am in a state of complete vulnerability to you. The scholars say, first and foremost, Musa alayhi salam employs what is known as wasful hal, how you describe your state. And he says, I am always in need of you. So I am faqir, whether I am in the palace of Fir'aun or whether I am lost under a tree in Madian, I am always in need of you, O Allah. And the scholars mention here, as Imam Sa'di rahimahullah says, وَالسُّؤَالِ بِالْحَالِ أَبْلَغُ مِنَ السُّؤَالِ بِلِسَانِ الْمَقَالِ. Sometimes to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by presenting your difficult situation is even better than asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala directly with speech. It's just, Ya Allah, here I am. Now, last time we spoke about how you shouldn't say, I'm unworthy. There's a difference between saying I'm unworthy or I'm from the wretched and I have absolutely no right to ask you, O Allah, and saying, Ya Allah, I'm in need of you. Ya Allah, I'm always in need of you. And presenting your brokenness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So long as you're not suggesting when you present that brokenness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you're irredeemable. So Musa alayhi salam simply says, O Allah, I am, for any good that you are going to descend upon me, constantly needy, whatever it is. And I could list out what those are, O Allah, but I'm just leaving that to you. And at that point, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inspires in his future father-in-law. And this is what Imam bin Ashur rahimahullah says, أَلْهَمَ شُعَيْبًا أَنْ يُرْسِلَ وَرَاءَهُ. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inspired Shu'aib to send his daughter to him. And that's why the ayah says, فَجَاءَتْهُ إِحْدَاهُمَا, that one of the two women came to him. The letter fa here indicates that it was a result of his dua. So if you could see the dua in working, Musa Islam calling out to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with a general dua that I'm needy, and whatever it is that you're going to send me, I'm going to be pleased with. I need it from you, O Allah. And then suddenly the inspiration coming to the family of Shu'aib, and then this woman being sent towards Musa alayhi salam, and then finally Musa alayhi salam finding out of that miserable situation a beautiful marriage. This is all part of the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so truly here, of the best du'as to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for a spouse is then this du'a, Rabbi inni lima anzalta ilayya min khayrin faqir. My Lord, indeed I am, for any good that you bestow on me, very needy. And by the way, there's also a sign here that you don't actually have to know what khair, what good you're asking from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You just have to know that you are delegating it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You don't even have to know what the way out is. You just have to know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is capable of giving you a way out, and then trust Him to do so. And so sometimes we don't even know what we're specifically asking for, but we trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with that ask.